When you play the Game of Thrones,
subscribe and like.
you die. There is no middle ground.
All right, hello guys. So getting into day 2 of 25 Days of Winds of Winter, let's talk Barbrey Dustin. Where is she going to go in the upcoming book in A Winds of Winter? Is she going to die? Who is she going to side with in the end? What is Barbrey Dustin's end goal going to be? That's everything we're going to kind of look at in this video, and so let's get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about with Barbrey Dustin, because I want to look at her motivations. As we kind of see with Theon and his POV, especially when they go into the crypts, Barbrey Dustin talks about wanting to be a Stark. She wanted to marry Brandon Stark, and because of the slights that were done to her house, her husband, things like that, because of Ned and his actions, she has kind of come to this resentment of House Stark, right? Given that Ned is the person that's in charge of the North at the very beginning of the book series, and it's now his lineage and his, children that are trying to compete to be back as the Lords of the North, or the Kings of the North, or Queens of the North, whatever you want to suggest. What's Barbrey Dustin going to do? Because she kind of feels like she's this character that is not really on Roos's side, but not really on the Stark side either. She's just kind of in this middle ground. She's acting out of her own, I would say, self and ambition. And so I think Barbrey Dustin is a character that's going to be interesting, because does she abandon ship, right? And I think the issue with her abandoning ship is going to be, Stannis is going to win the battle for Winterfell. It's going to have to be through guile, trickery, kind of what John Connington is doing at Storm's End. I just don't know if Barbrey Dustin will have enough foresight, enough information to switch sides. Because if she stays loyal to Roose Bolton till the very end, or Ramsay, whoever, and this is where I think another key point. The way I see Barbrey Dustin flipping on the Boltons is going to be if Roose Bolton is killed by Ramsay, similar to the way he is done in the show. If that was to occur, I think that Barbrey Dustin could very easily flip to the Starks, because as much as she might resent Ned and things he did, she hates Ramsay more than them, right? She talks about that consistently the times we see her throughout A Dance with Dragons. She talks about how she doesn't like Ramsay because she believes that Ramsay killed Domeric Bolton, which he most likely did. It's not confirmed, but it's like, I'd say 95% sure. I mean, there's maybe 5% of doubt there, but I think it's very clearly that Ramsay killed Domeric. And so she viewed kind of Domeric as a son type figure. And so when you see this idea of Barbrey Dustin flipping, and this is why I personally think Stannis is going to end up winning, is you have so many houses that just do not seem to be necessarily loyal to the Boltons, and all it takes is just one little domino and everything starts crashing down. You have the Freys and the Mannerleys actively basically assaulting each other at the very end of A Dance with Dragons, which leads to Roose sending them both out. This could easily lead to the Mannerleys, flipping on the Freys, and I think it will. Stannis forces maybe winning out, but them also then maybe saying that they lost the battle. Very easily, Stannis could put out this rumor that he was killed. Maybe he takes some of the Frey's clothing and does all that, and the Mannerleys say they just lost their way. They couldn't find Stannis's camp, and they come back with this Frey force, and you kind of dress them as just Freys, so maybe they wouldn't know. You could easily see Barbrey Dustin, if Roose Bolton is killed, going along with this. Even if she sees through it, maybe she even assists them, get revenge on Ramsay Bolton, and help bring him down. But the weird thing with Barbrey Dustin is there doesn't really seem to be a natural place for her to end. Her goal is she doesn't want Ned's bones to ever really be brought back to the crypts, but that goes in direct conflict with this Stark rising that we think is going to happen with characters like Jon Snow, Rickon being brought back into the North, Bran at some point is going to come back south of the Wall, Sansa gaining a lot of influence and power in the Vale, and Arya becoming a faceless man and probably will be set loose on Westeros. So we know from that position that Barbrey Dustin is going to find herself in a really weird position where she can't really get to where she wants to be with either side. And you also run into the issue where all these things that she's told Theon about, right? Those things can be told to characters like Stannis, like Asha, like Sansa, for instance. All these characters, eventually, they could all find out what Barbrey Dustin told Theon, right? How she doesn't like Ned. She wants his bones to be left for her dogs and disrespecting him and all these things. That's not going to be looked on very fondly by the Starks. And so I think Barbrey Dustin is a fascinating character because, like a video I made the last month, I believe, maybe 2 months ago, at the time this is coming out, where I said Roose Bolton was trapped. I almost feel like the same thing is the case for Barbrey Dustin. She almost feels like this trapped character. And maybe something that we see happening with her character is we actually have some growth from her. Maybe she puts aside her differences. Maybe she sets aside, her personal vendettas and doesn't do something very stupid. And Barbrey Dustin does not appear to be a stupid character whatsoever. She seems very smart and intelligent. Maybe she's able to be talked down, right? Maybe somebody like Arya or Sansa or Theon can convince her that she should let her personal grudges go and live on. That is, I think, a very interesting idea for this character of Barbrey Dustin. What do you guys think? Do you think Barbrey Dustin will stick with the Boltons? Will she betray the Boltons? Or will she just try and stay out of it? But that's also going to be very difficult to do, the position she's in. She's brought men to support the Boltons. If Stannis was to take the castle, she'd be looked at as a treasonous lady because she didn't go for Stannis or for the Starks whatsoever. She went with the Boltons. Now, this could be explained away, and Stannis has done this in the past where, he's allowed lords that went with, say, Renly to live and all these things because he kind of needs them. Maybe he would do the same thing with Barbrey Dustin. Maybe he would let it go, and that could be how it goes. I think there's still more to Barbrey Dustin that's left unsaid. I think there's still more that we need with the character of Theon and Barbrey. I think they'll have at least one or two more interactions in this book where maybe Theon can help Barbrey. Whereas Theon himself is realizing he can't be a Stark, but he can atone for maybe his own mistakes and his own decisions. Maybe he can help Barbrey Dustin find some inner peace. Or will the heart at conflict destroy Barbrey Dustin? Will it set her on a path where only vengeance or vendettas will end up being her own death? I could see any of these being likely. A lot of characters, I feel like I have a certain idea where they could go, but Barbrey Dustin is very much left almost in doubt, as her path isn't clear. She isn't, one of the most major characters in the North, and especially the Northern plotline. She's, I'd say, one of the more minor characters, but one of the most fascinating characters. I love her character overall. I do find that I think she's kind of going to go against the Boltons by the end, especially with Ramsay if he kills Roose. But I could easily see it going the other way. Let me know what you guys think. Do you have another opinion or other thought that you think could happen to Barbrey Dustin? What do you think her fate will be? Maybe she will die to the attack of the North by the others. But bye, guys, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video where we'll be talking about another Northern politician, Wyman Manderly.